Opening scene. Gentle sunrise over rolling hills of Moab, silhouettes of women preparing to travel. Life often takes us on journeys that we never planned for, but through faith, loyalty, and love, we find redemption. This is the story of Ruth, a Moabite woman whose name would resonate throughout biblical history. Pause for poignant effect. Shift scene to an aged woman and two younger ones in tattered robes, their faces etched with grief. Many years ago, a man named Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their two sons left their homeland of Bethlehem in Judah. A famine had devastated their lands, driving them to seek refuge in the neighboring country of Moab. Here, they hoped to find sustenance, start anew, and survive. Rough desert terrain is shown as Elimelech's family begins their journey with livestock and meager belongings. In Moab, Elimelech's family found what they sought, a temporary reprieve from hunger. But soon tragedy struck, and Elimelech passed away, leaving Naomi with her two sons. Her sons then married Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. For a time, they found a semblance of peace and joy. A shot of wedding festivities highlights traditions of both Hebrew and Moabite customs blended together. However, happiness in Moab would also be short-lived. First one son, then the next, passed away. Naomi, now with no husband or sons, felt lost and broken. Her grief was unbearable, and she decided to return to Bethlehem, where she had heard the famine had ended. Scene shifts to Naomi tearfully embracing Orpah and Ruth, surrounded by sparse desert plants. Naomi urged her daughters-in-law to stay in Moab, return to their families, and build new lives. While Orpah reluctantly agreed and stayed behind, Ruth refused to let Naomi go alone. Her words, full of love and devotion, became legendary. "Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." Camera zooms into Ruth, looking determined, as her hands gently clasp Naomi's. Together, Ruth and Naomi journeyed back to Bethlehem. It was a long and arduous trek, symbolic of their determination and unity. Transition to the fields surrounding Bethlehem. Golden wheat sways under the afternoon sun with farmhands working. When they arrived, the women faced poverty and uncertainty. But Ruth's faith and her loving commitment to Naomi led her to humble herself. She sought permission to glean leftover grain from the fields, an act reserved for the poorest of society. Scene highlights Ruth stooping tirelessly to pick up fallen grains, her brow glistening with sweat. Ruth found herself in the fields of Boaz, a wealthy and kind landowner who also happened to be a relative of Naomi's late husband. Boaz observed Ruth's hard work and devotion to Naomi. Impressed by her character, he ensured she was protected from harm and allowed to glean as much as she needed. Ruth's kindness and dedication did not go unnoticed. Boaz speaks kindly to Ruth, offering her food and drink during the day. Seeing an opportunity for redemption, Naomi devised a plan. She encouraged Ruth to approach Boaz during the night on the threshing floor, a traditional act to request him to be her redeemer and protector. This act reflected a deep cultural practice known as kinsman redeemer, where close relatives would marry widows to preserve the family lineage. An intimate scene shows Ruth respectfully laying at Boaz's feet, speaking softly. Ruth, with humility and boldness, presented her case to Boaz, and Boaz, as a man of integrity and faith, agreed to take on the responsibility. However, there was one closer relative who had the first right of redemption. Marketplace scene as elders gather at the city gate, Boaz addressing the closer relative. Boaz approached the closer relative, presenting the matter before the elders of the town. When the other man refused to redeem Naomi's land and Ruth, Boaz took on the duty, signaling the agreement by removing his sandal, a cultural act of contract during those times. Wedding celebration scene showing Ruth and Boaz surrounded by joyous townsfolk. Boaz married Ruth, and their union was blessed. In time, Ruth gave birth to a son named Obed. But here's where the story takes on a remarkable twist. Closer shot of Naomi holding baby Obed, her face radiant with joy. Obed would later become the father of Jesse, who became the father of King David. Yes, through Ruth's faith and devotion, she became part of the lineage of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Final scene. Ruth and Naomi watching the sunset over Bethlehem, serene expressions on their faces. Ruth's story is a testament to the power of love, loyalty, and faith. She wasn't an Israelite by birth, yet her unwavering dedication led to her inclusion in God's greatest plan for humanity. Her life reminds us that redemption is always possible, regardless of our background. Voice softens for concluding statement. So, as you think about Ruth's journey, consider what acts of love or faith could lead to redemption in your own life. Like Ruth, be bold, be loyal, and let your faith guide the way. Ending text scroll with hashtags and serene music fading out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories from the Bible. #Bible, #Jesus, #God, #Jews, #Christian, /Christianity, /faith, /Ruth, /redemption.